We're always told to get out of your comfort zone. Do something different, do something that makes you uncomfortable, do something adventurous, but you do something different, and through that experience you grow yourself as a person, you grow your skills in whatever craft you're into, and you just have a really good time in doing so. Even if it might not feel like a great thing at the time, pushing yourself through these tough experiences, by the end of it and afterwards, you'll be glad you did it. Now, for us photographers, what's worse for pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone than going out in the horrible weather, in the rain, and taking some photos? So in this video, I'm giving 5 tips for you to take photos in the rain and why you should do so to get some really cool shots. So the first 4 tips I'm going to mention are going to be tips to getting really cool shots in the rain, what to look out for, what kind of shots you can take that look really good in the rain, and then the final tip is going to be less so a tip, but it's going to be more like a checklist that you need to tick off before you go on a shoot in the rain. So tip number 1 is lighting. Usually when you look outside and see a sky like this, you think, oh god, what a terrible day, we can't do anything, everything's ruined because it's not sunny out. But as photographers, you look outside, see a sky like this and think, this is perfect for pictures. Usually when you're taking pictures of anything in daylight, especially when the sun is out, there's really harsh shadows, everything is just blown out with color, everything's too contrasty and punchy. It makes it really hard to edit, and it doesn't make it look like a very high quality picture. It makes it seem very, very cheap, very average. So when the clouds are out, when you have that overcast, it basically acts as a filter for the sun, so it has this even plane of light. So for portraits, for example, instead of having all these harsh shadows coming across from your eyes and your nose across your face, you have this even, nice background, and it's just going to make you look better, which is what we want at the end of the day. I know this tip isn't directly related to shooting in the rain, but usually the rain brings on these moody skies, which make for really nice, clean pictures of you, and just everything looks better with the kind of weather sky the rain brings. So tip number 2 is use reflections. Obviously when it rains, there's going to be loads of puddles building up, rain's going to go on windows, it's going to go in gutters, it's going to go into random dips in the street. If you use these reflections to your advantage, you can create a really cool photo. Instead of just taking a picture of a normal street, you can basically get a mirror image of the street, which means it's just a little bit more exciting. You can flip the image to make it seem really cool and play around with these reflections. Okay, tip number 3, if you're one of the bokeh hunters like these guys here I follow on Instagram, these guys are insane at bokeh shots. Bokeh shots are basically the out of focus shots, or something's in focus at the very front of a picture but everything else is really blurred, and you get those smooth bokeh balls which look really cool. So when it rains, you can use the water droplets on a window to make these really cool balls of blur. You can use the rain droplets on like a handlebar to a bike. It's really good for street photography. If it rains and you want to get these kind of bokeh shots, they look so much better, especially even in reflections. When water's reflecting off the floor, it'll reflect, and it'll reflect with little balls of blur, which looks really nice. And to take pictures like this, you need to have your aperture set really wide, and just, yeah, whatever shutter speed you need, but just make sure your aperture is wide so you get that really nice depth of field. If you want to add a little creative way to do it, what you can do is get the filter of your lens. I wouldn't recommend doing this straight on your lens, but if you have a screw-on filter for your lens, sprinkle a little water or let a little rain fall on the lens, then screw it back on, and then when you take a photo, you're going to naturally have these little balls of blur in front of the picture, which works really well at night. I wouldn't recommend this for day photography in the rain because it'll just look like blur on your camera, but at night it'll refract the light nicely onto your camera and get really nice colors for you. Tip number 4, if you're looking for storytelling shots, if you're looking for moody street photos, you kind of need to go out on a rainy day. It paints this really nice scene. It kind of gets a dark look to everything, especially if it's like you're around buildings or everything, less so like around parks and stuff, but around grey buildings, when it's rainy, it adds that extra element of just moodiness. You see people going around in umbrellas, you see people with big coats on, and it really starts to tell a story. And tip number 5, which isn't as such a tip, it's more of a checklist of what you need to have, but make sure you have all these things before you go out and shooting in the rain, otherwise your camera could break or you're just setting yourself up for failure. So first of all, you need, if you're going out with your camera in the rain, you need to have a weather sealed camera. Most cameras will be pretty weather sealed these days, but just make sure you check, because if it's not weather sealed and you get a bit of water on your camera and it gets inside, it just kind of ruins your whole camera and you lose like thousands or hundreds or whatever you spent on your camera. I mentioned earlier that you can have little sprinkles of water on your lens filter and that'll make a really nice bokeh shot, but if you don't want those sprinkles and they fall there from the rain, that's going to be such a pain. So bring a little cloth with you to clean this lens filter, or just get a lens hood. Not every like kit lens comes with a lens hood, but usually every secondary lens you buy, apart from your kit lens, tends to come with the lens hood. So just make sure that's screwed on and try not to tilt your camera up into the sky and get rained on. If your camera isn't waterproof or isn't weather sealed, just use a phone. Most phones these days are fully waterproof. I mean, my phone can be put under a tap. I've taken it into the sea. Probably not the best idea, but it's survived okay. It's still working perfect. And yeah, basically most phones these days are waterproof. If you want to be a bit cheaper, you can use a GoPro. They're really wide angle lens. It doesn't look as professional as a proper camera, but I mean, it does the trick. It's better than nothing and going out in the rain with your camera and getting it broken. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This video was requested by Ori Vision WT, and if you guys want to request a video, I'll make another video. So please do leave your request down below. Hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a comment and give a thumbs up, and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content like this, some more tips and tricks on photography and videography. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Have a good week.